I grew up in Thief River Falls. I was born in September 28th, 1946, so I'm old. I went to St. Bernard's, grade 1 through 8, and then I went to the public high school. We were a very, very close family, but we did not live on a farm. My dad was a businessman that owned Len's Tire Shop in Thief River Falls. He died on August 13th, and he had turned 50. Then I went on to X-ray school in Detroit Lakes, and I was there for 2 years. And then I got married to Mike Bump. So I went from a Goulet to a Bump, and then we moved to Glencoe, Minnesota. And then he bought his own truck in for Schweiger. We bought the restaurant in Glencoe, Minnesota, Bump's Family Restaurant. My kids all worked there. They all worked on the Schweiger truck with their dad. He'd make them get up. I had 2 girls and a son and another daughter. I thought for sure the last one was going to be a boy because I had 2 girls, you know, but it wasn't. It was my lovely daughter Shannon. And they're Sherry, Shelley, Shannon, and Steve. So I liked S's. I don't know why. I worked at the Glencoe Hospital. I was director, and I worked there for 35 years. We bought a lake home on Alexandria and Lake Darling, and then I started at the hospital here. Left the clinic, then I volunteered about a year before I actually retired and came to the food shelf. They had asked me to be the treasurer, and then I ended up being the director. And so I was here every day and loved it. And my kids always said, "Mom, I just don't understand you. I've never seen anyone that loves to go to work like you do." They would always say, "Mom, I think you're the only person I know that says you love your job." I said, "I've always loved my job as being an X-ray tech, and I love the food shelf." Our new director, Bernice, is just fantastic. She said she wanted to keep me on the board because she could learn so much from me, and I have to say, she is one awesome lady.
I've been with the food shelf 2 years on August 1st, so I took over for Vicki. They were looking for someone to step into her shoes. Well, as you can tell, her shoes are big.
I'm just an ordinary mother and wife, and like I said, I love movies, I love books, I love puzzles, I love to play cards, but I'm not just an ordinary old lady.
The things that she brought to the food shelf are amazing. It is what it is in large part because of her organization, her enthusiasm. She loves to hug. She gives people a hug, which is so meaningful when people are down and out. And then she greets us every morning with a song, welcoming us all. She answers the phone with Happy Valentine's Day month. So she always brings something bright and cheery to every person who calls. She volunteers still on Thursdays, so she's here once a week, spreading joy.
You just can't imagine how your heart feels when someone comes in and says, I wouldn't be here if it hadn't been for the food shelf.
I heard this on the radio, and it just hit me really hard, is when you live in such a wealthy country, to have people that we're not feeding, it's very sad, very sad.
Being in the hospital and seeing people that are suffering and hurting, very adamant about is don't judge people by their looks, by their clothes, by what they're driving, because we don't know their story.
We were very fortunate to be the recipient of an Alexandria Community Foundation grant, which was a substantial contribution to help us. So the remodel added on a garage that had the tall garage door so we could get the transit van in, brought a warehouse, so we all of a sudden had a warehouse, more storage space, which allows us to buy commodities in bulk, and just made major improvements. It's really exciting to have that community connection and partner with you.
I consider myself a volunteer even though I was a director. But I will say they did offer to pay me. And I said, no, I'm a volunteer like all of these other volunteers. And now I'm a board member. And we don't get paid either.
You know, the food shelf is in a great location because we're back off the beaten path. We're at 1205 Lake Street.
I just want to thank you, the foundation, for honoring me this way. I feel very humble, but I am spending this week with my siblings in Maine. Every year, the siblings, no spouses, just us siblings, get together and have a time where we can spend and just laugh and play games. But we only do it for 4 days, because by the 5th day, it's a good thing that we're partying and going home. I love them dearly. And thank you again for honoring me. It is a very, very humbling, special award for me.